if you need some ideas on new walks to take, our next guest has you covered. David B. Williams is the author of Seattle Walks, A Guide to Discovering History and Nature in Our City. The book is now in its second edition with more new walks to discover. And David joins me now to tell us more. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Now that I know I'm a hot girl walker,
Yes.
Is that it? That's what I want to hear.
You're on the Hot Girl Walks. Woo, that's it. Segment over. This is amazing. I also want to comment on your vest. This is incredible, and it goes with the theme.
Yeah, every time I write a book, my wife makes me a new vest. So I have 4 or 5 different vests for each, and so I have a new one coming out in a couple of weeks.
Amazing.
A new vest and a new book. They go together.
Boom. I like the map look on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so tell us about the book, obviously, and why you decided to update this one from your 2017 version.
So as we know, Seattle's changing a little bit over time.
Yes.
So 8 years later, felt that it was needed for that. But also trying to tie in with sort of the feeling of what's been going on around of making the book a little bit more inclusive, trying to bring in different cultural groups that I hadn't explored before. So there's 3 new walks in the book, and I dropped out 2 of them. And what was fun was to go to new neighborhoods that I sort of knew, but I never know anything until I'm actually on the ground walking. That's what's so wonderful.
I know, that's such a good point to actually get out and see a new area by walking, and you're not like rushing and running by, you're really taking it in. So tell me about what's new. You said Central District, right?
Yeah.
And what else is new?
So Central District, basically circumnavigating in essence Garfield, where I went to high school, and looking at that, the neighborhood, the Jewish neighborhood, the black neighborhood, the Asian neighborhood. There's a walk in Georgetown. And you know, Georgetown just doesn't get the love, even though it's an interesting place. It's just the oldest neighborhood in Seattle on one level, because that's where people, European settlers, first arrived. And then there's a walk in what I think people call South Lake Union, but was originally the Cascade neighborhood. And again, it's a much older neighborhood than what we think of with Amazon and all the biotechs that are there. So there's always culture, and there's always different people, and there's always different buildings to see in these landscapes.
So you have a lot of like history and like best places to, you know, walk in your book too, a little of something for everyone.
Yeah, so every walk is basically follow the steps. You go, okay, get here, look at this corner. Oh, look, there's that building. What's the story? Or something with natural history, because that's my dorkness always comes through with natural history. And then trying to, again, just getting people to slow down and pay attention.
And what was your favorite discovery when researching these new walks, if you had to pick?
I would guess actually in Georgetown that there was this grave or this cemetery that they had to pull up all the bodies when they straightened the Duwamish River. And when they did it, it was a little bit controversial, and the guy who did it didn't keep the best track of bodies after they were cremated. And you'll just have to read the book. It's pretty dark, but Georgetown is dark and a little bit of what's the term I'm looking for? I guess you could call it sex and vice back in that time.
Wow.
In early Georgia. I know you're shocked.
You're giving a tease right now. I'm like, Georgetown, I did not know. Why do you think walking to is one of the best ways to really get to know a place?
Because you're going, as you talked earlier at the beginning, you're going at that pace that allows you to notice things, but also it's also that pace where it allows you to stop and go and look around you and think about what's there. And you interact with people, and whether it's people walking or going into a restaurant, going into a store, wherever it might be, you have that connection with the community, as Joseph said at the very beginning. And that's, to me, what's important.
Have you always enjoyed walking then, or is this like a new passion?
I've been a walker all my life.
Really?
I grew up in Seattle walking, and it's what I love doing. It's my favorite thing to do in any city I go to.
So any city, when you're traveling, this is what you do to get to know?
It's what I do.
Okay.
It's what I do.
And what are your recommendations for people that are maybe debating, because like we said, you know, Seattle sometimes isn't the warmest or sunniest. So do you have any tips for people to get out and get to walking?
I mean, this may sound funny, but just do it. It's actually get out and do it. Start around your house or your apartment or wherever you live, and just start going in circles, seeing what you discover, and then branch out. I mean, in the book, one of the things I tried to do was go to areas that were flat. We know we have a hilly city.
Yes.
So I was trying to make them accessible. Be open to what you discover, and don't be in a hurry. Don't be goal-oriented. Just get out and explore. And you were talking a little bit earlier about headphones. I don't listen. I don't wear them because I love to hear the city around me. And there's so much in the city that goes on, whether it's birds, traffic, being safe. So lots of ways to be aware of the city.
Yeah, and like you said, being able to talk to people, and you know, you can't always do that when you have your headphones names in,
Right.
obviously. Is there a favorite walk or one that you find yourself doing frequently that you want to tell viewers about?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I love the walk. I guess one walk I do walk is that goes from Green Lake and follows the historic drainage of Green Lake down Ravenna, and then ultimately ends up going by the Center for Urban Horticulture and ending up in Lake Washington. And I love that idea of what is the drainage, what was the flow of water in the city that we don't think about, how wet Seattle was historically with waterways everywhere. And that to me is just a fun way to follow that and connect with that history of place.
Definitely. I love that connection that you're talking about with history and all of that, and with walks too. So what's next, David? Do you have other books coming? What can we expect?
Well, another vest.
Another vest.
Right. And I actually have another book coming out in 2 weeks that's a collection of essays from a newsletter I do with these beautiful watercolors by a woman named Elizabeth Person. And so that's to me, it's a nice compliment, because this is getting you out in the field, and the new book of essays are things just to think about maybe when you're out there, to things to be aware of, to notice, because it focuses primarily on natural history.
Yeah, maybe you can stop on your walk, open your book, read it a little, listen to your surroundings,
Exactly.
and then continue on.
Right, and it'll be a great hot girl walk.
We're going on a hot girl walk, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate it. You were so fun.